Shalom, family. It's good to see all of you here. Shalom to you. And we're going to talk about, what recently hit the news, and that's Emmett Till's family. And these are his cousins that are demanding something be done with Carolyn Bryant Dunham. So, oh well, so we'll get into it. And I have some slides I'm going to just go over with you. Well, it's not playing Corey because I didn't start yet. So, everybody, good afternoon. How you doing, Tareen? It's good to see you. All right. So, I hope you will enjoy this presentation and what we are about to go over in regards to Emmett Till's family. So, ladies and gentlemen, all right. Let's get started here. I hope you should be able to see my screen. You should see a small image of me and the presentation that I have right next to it. So I don't have to share because it's already on that. Oh, well, welcome to anybody that's new to the channel. Good to have you. Yeah, she's still alive, but there are some factors, first of all, you got to take into consideration this is Mississippi. This is straight up Klan country down there. And look at the governor that's in there before, that's in there right now. I did a video on this governor. The governor, he wanted to make April Confederate Heritage Month and Genocide Month. Now, does this sound like somebody that's going to help even a deceased black teen like Emmett Till? Come on, it's Klan country. You got, and it's because of that Mississippi location that there's no concern about getting justice for him. It should have been long before now. Emmett Till has been dead for 67 years. That's a long time to go by, and you haven't even attempted to do anything to the woman that perpetrated the whole thing. You didn't do nothing to her in 67 years. So we're just going to go through some slides I put together because I think we always talk about Emmett Till and we don't really get into a lot of details about what happened that day. So I just put some things together. Some of you might have seen this, you may not have. One thing I don't like is they just keep showing you the same pictures of Emmett Till when he was a teenager. And as if, there was nothing to his life when there was so much more to Emmett Till than just a few photos of him in a coffin and some photos when he was a teenager. So I'm going to go ahead and start these slides. And I'm going to stop and talk in between. Now, many of you know his mother, Mamie, who my heart just bled for this woman all the time. And Lewis Till, who is Emmett Till's biological father. Lewis Till was lynched by the U.S. Army in 1945 over in Italy. He was accused of killing an Italian woman and raping two other women. Now, whether he did this or not, I don't know because, let's face it, we live in a country that won't hesitate to lie on a black man. Let's be for real. So I don't know if he really did this, of what they're accusing him of, or he was pent with a murder and two rapes. Who knows? We sure won't know the truth, that's for sure. But yes, his father was lynched in the US military, the army. And I think that is another big thing left out of history. The military also took part in lynching black men. And it's a history that we really don't hear a lot about. All right. So those are his parents. Yeah, I mean it is a shame when you listen to the whole story. It's really heartbreaking, for real. This is his mother Mamie and an infant Emmett Till. So Emmett Till was born in 1941. All right, and I love this photo. This is Emmett Till on his bike, and these are his cousins in Chicago. Now, one thing that was interesting about Emmett Till, a lot of people don't know Emmett Till had polio when he was around 6 years old. He had polio, and his mother said when he finally recovered from polio, that's when he developed that stutter that you had heard he had, even when he was a teenager. But she said prior to him having polio, he never stuttered. But after he recovered, that's how he recovered. He was left with stuttering. Yeah, he really was a good-looking kid. He really was. It's a shame. He was robbed out of everything. He did not get to become an adult. He didn't get married. He didn't graduate. He did not get out here and have a career, and all of that was robbed from him. All of it. Yeah. Yeah. And it was not unusual for children to get polio back in those times when he was born. So we always seen teenage Emmett Till. That other picture that you saw with him and his cousins, they said that was taken around 1950, and he was 9 years old when that picture was taken. Mhm. This is the store that Emmett Till went to, and it was owned at that time by Carolyn Bryant and her husband. It was called Bryan's Grocery and Meat Market. That was the name of the store in Money, Mississippi. And it was segregated. And down there, their store was in what is considered the black part of town. Uh, Damn near all of their customers were the black residents that lived down there. That's where their store was located. They made all of their money off of black folks. Okay. And Carolyn worked there. Her sister-in-law, who many of you probably saw pictures of, she also was in that store. And in fact, when Emmett Till went in there with his cousins, they said it was a lot of people in the store at that time. That's why when Carolyn came out making the accusation about Emmett Till, people were shocked because there were a lot of folks in the store, and they said they didn't see anything happen. They didn't see anything unusual happen. And on top of that, they said when Emmett was in there, they didn't even see Carolyn look upset. She wasn't even looking upset. And her sister-in-law and Carolyn Bryant at that time stopped talking shortly after the trial and everything, they fell out and they stopped talking to each other. Now, her sister-in-law did an interview just before she died, and she said something that really caught my attention. By then, she and Carolyn did not speak for a few decades. They were not on speaking terms even when her sister-in-law died. She said when the police came and Carolyn was talking to the police, she at one point said that she she went outside to get her gun from her car. And she said she was taken aback from her saying that because at that time in 1955, Carolyn and her husband didn't even own a car. Carolyn's sister-in-law and brother-in-law, in fact, her brother-in-law was a half brother to Carolyn's husband at the time. They had a car, but they said Carolyn and her husband, they didn't even own a car back then. But she told the police she went to her car to get a gun. And her sister-in-law said she never drove anywhere and there was a gun in the car. She never ever had a gun in the car. And I found that to be interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, when I was a teenager, they had the actual audio of the trial in the public library around here back then. And I took it out because, we were doing assignments on any historian incident that we wanted. And I did Emmett Till. And this was like shortly after I found out about Emmett Till. And I found out about Emmett Till through Ebony magazine subscription that my parents had. And I remember opening up the magazine. I would always read some of the articles, not all of them, but some that would catch my attention. And they had a write-up at that time about Emmett Till. And I remember reading it, and I went to my mother and I was like, "Did you ever heard of Emmett Till?" And my mother said, "Yes." And she ran the whole thing down. My mother was in Georgia, but she said everybody heard about what happened to Emmett Till all over the South back then. It was everywhere. It was in all the papers. And if you lived in the South and you did not hear about Emmett Till, you must have been living under a big ass rock because everybody heard of Emmett Till. And after I found out about him, I knew that was what I wanted to write about for my school assignment. And we went to the library, and I thought initially I was just looking for books. And I came across the set of audio and I said, "Okay, I'm going to see if I can check this out." And I was allowed to check it out. I brought that baby home and started listening. I think I got maybe 15 minutes in. I had to shut it off. It wasn't what they were describing about what happened with Emmett Till, but I never in my life heard the N word said so heavily in the courtroom. It was shocking to me when I was young. And then I remember I got up and I told my mother, and my mom was like, "Yes, they used to talk like that in court in the South, even when she was coming up. If there was any type of case where one person was black and one was white, they would talk like that in court." So, Carolyn, and you probably can find it online. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to find. I just never thought to find it online because I heard it back when I was a teenager. And I remember the testimony that Carolyn Bryant gave. You know how you listen to somebody and you just instantly know they're lying? That is the feeling I got when I was listening to Carolyn Bryant on the stand. And she just kept saying, "Well, yes, and the N word said this, and the N word did that, and then the N word moved over, and then the N word moved over here, and then the N word." I was like, "What?" It just sound fake. it sound fake, and she was just putting too much damn effort into saying N-word. Okay. It was just yeah, she said it with the hard ER on the end. And that's how she gave her whole testimony, y'all. That's how she gave the whole testimony. And I'm sure if you look online, you could probably find the audio because they did record that court case and it was released to the public. So you should be able to find it. But this is the store. This is what it looked like. It was in a location called Money, Mississippi. And it doesn't look anything like this anymore. So I'm going to show you what it looks like today. I do have a couple of snapshots of what it looks like. It's like a shell of itself, a complete shell of itself. This is what's left of Bryant Grocery and Meat Market. And you can actually tour through there. Here's another shot of it. It's the same market that you saw in the other picture. It might still be in the library. And here it is, Money, Mississippi, Black History Month. So this was the summer of 1955 where it all began, where Carolyn claimed that Emmett was in the store whistling at her, and that's a marker. And you could actually go into Mississippi and do the tour. From the grocery store, it takes you all the way to the location where Emmett Till's body was found. And they got a marker over there too. This right here is the shed that Emmett Till was killed in. This is the shed. No, Carolyn Bryant claimed he whistled. Okay. Carolyn Bryant claimed he whistled. All right. And I don't believe nothing Carolyn Bryant has said. Even when I listened to her testimony, I had a hard time believing her. I did not believe this woman at all. So this is Mamie. Of course, she had some age on her. One thing, she never stopped trying to fight for Emmett Till the whole time she was alive. You know, after he died, she did get married, but she didn't have any more children. So, I mean, it's a shame. You know, this woman lived all that time and did not see the killer of her son, the killers, you know, any justice, no justice being done the whole time. You know, none. And there's no statute of limitation on murder, you know, but you know, we are in America. America is not about justice or accountability. This is the country of no accountability. We all know that by now. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, this whole thing was so sad. This is the church in Chicago that held Emmett Till's funeral. So it's Robert's Temple Church of God in Christ in Chicago. His funeral was September 6, 1955. And I will never forget that look on his mother's. Oh man, it's so hard to even look at it now. Here's Emmett Till's grave in Chicago. And you can see he was born July 25th, 1941. And August 28th, 1955. So he was only 14, which is a shame. Way too soon for him to be gone, especially the way he was taken out. Shame. Hard to believe it's 67 years since this happened. And here's Carolyn Bryant and her first husband and 2 sons at the time. But Carolyn actually had 3 children, ladies and gentlemen. This oldest son right here, he died in 1995 of cystic fibrosis. This child right here. This is Phil, And Phil actually became the governor of Mississippi. And I'm going to show you pictures of Phil. All right. And at the time, Carolyn had two children when Emmett Till was murdered. Carolyn was 21 years old when Emmett Till was murdered by her husband and her brother-in-law. Yeah, her one son died of cystic fibrosis, this oldest child right here. She had another child, her youngest son, his name was Frank. Frank died of heart failure in 2010. So Carolyn have outlived two of her sons. Okay. So she does have a son that's still living. I'm going to get to that. Well, Carolyn back then was considered a beauty queen. I know, y'all. you know, you don't have to go there with me. I know. Yeah, yeah. So this is Carolyn today. She's in her 80s and she's still living. She's still alive. And that's another picture of Carolyn. A lot of times we see this picture. She was actually in her 60s when this picture was taken. So here he is. This is Phil Bryant. Now, the governor that's in place right now, Phil was the governor before him. So his term is done. This is Phil Bryant. He was once the governor of Mississippi. Yes, he was the governor of Mississippi. And see, this is another reason why you will have a difficult time getting to Carolyn Bryan Dunham. All right. So he was the younger son that you saw in that black and white picture. This is Phil today. And here's another picture that I got of Phil. This is Phil Bryant, Carolyn Bryan's son. Need I say more? Yeah, so she is not only being protected from the law, she is also politically connected through her son down there. I'm glad Emmett Till's family is coming forward, but to be honest with you, the chance of Carolyn Bryant 67 years later being arrested on anything is highly doubtful. I'm just talking real to you. It's not that I don't want to see justice. Believe me, if she dies, I would love to piss on her grave, but I know America and I know America love their races and they will just keep this woman completely shielded and guarded and nothing will happen. Remember, it's Mississippi. This is Klan country, y'all. This is Klan country. Okay, you heard what their sitting governor said. I did a video on him. He said April is Confederate Heritage Month. Does that sound like somebody that is going to let folks come down there and prosecute her? No. The governor alone would get in the way. All right. And genocide month and all the genocides he brought up are the ones that happened outside of America. He ignored the ones in America. Yeah. So, I mean, he's not the governor anymore, but he was. His term is done. So there's a new governor in office down there. And he probably worse than Phil. Phil Bryant. Okay. So recently in the news, Emmett Till's family wants Carolyn Bryant brought up on charges of kidnapping. So apparently in 1955, there was a warrant for the kidnapping of Emmett Till, and I don't believe they ever used the warrant. It was there, but never used to go after Carolyn Bryant. So, stymied in their calls for renewed investigation into the killing of Emmett Till, relatives and activists are advocating another possible path towards accountability in Mississippi. They want authorities to launch a kidnapping prosecution against a woman that set off the lynching by accusing the Black Chicago teenager of improper advances in 1955. No defense. I never seen not one white woman in America that's worth losing your life over. Okay. I mean, we all seen Karen. I don't think an aunt should lose their life over Karen. So, Carolyn Bryan Dunham was named nearly 67 years ago in a warrant that accused her of Till's abduction, even before his mangled body was found in a river, FBI records show. Yet she was never arrested or brought to trial in a case that shocked the world for its brutality. Authorities at the time said the woman had two young children and they did not want to bother her. Listen to that bull. Listen to that. She had two children and they didn't want to bother her. How many Black women in America got children and still get arrested? It's amazing what they take into consideration when it's one that looked like them, right? What a joke. So they didn't want to bother her. So Dunham, then husband, and another man were acquitted for murder, and that was her brother-in-law. Make no mistakes, relatives of Till still prefer a murder prosecution, but there is no evidence that the kidnapping warrant was ever dismissed. So it could be used to arrest Dunham and finally get her before a criminal court. All right. So this is what they're saying, but I'm just telling y'all, I wish if we were in a different time and place, this could be possible. But I really don't think that anything's going to ever happen to Carolyn. She will make it to the grave and never be held accountable for what happened, you know? But you notice how they didn't give a damn about the date when it came down to Bill Cosby. Some of those women that cropped up, they cropped up from the 60s. And oh, that didn't matter then. They were willing to forget about, oh, how long. You didn't hear none of them talking about some long time ago then, did you? Okay, so the warrant is that's a stepping stone towards that. Um, because warrants do not expire, we want to see that warrant served on her. There are plenty of roadblocks. Witnesses have died in the decades since Till's lynching, and it is clear what happened to the evidence collected by investigators. Even the location of the original warrant is a mystery. It could be in boxes of old courthouse records in LaFleur County, Mississippi, where the abduction occurred. A relative of Till said it's long past time for someone to arrest Dunham in Till's kidnapping, if not for the slaying itself. Mississippi is not the Mississippi of 1955. Really? I don't believe that. Y'all don't change that much. That's one thing. Y'all don't change that much. But it seems to still carry some of that era of protecting the white woman, said Deborah Watts, a distant cousin of Till, who runs the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation, now in her late 80s and most recently living in Raleigh, North Carolina. Dunham has not commented publicly on calls for her prosecution. She did not seem to know She had been named in an arrest warrant until abduction until decades later. This is according to Dell Killinger, a retired FBI agent who questioned her more than 15 years ago. I think she didn't recall it, he said. She acted surprised. The Justice Department closed its most recent investigation. And many of you may remember that. The last investigation was closed in December 2021. Okay, which means your Justice Department is not about justice at all. That's what that also proves. When the agency said Dunham had denied an author claim that she had recanted her claims about Till doing something improper to her in the store where she worked in the town of Money. The writer could not produce any recordings or transcripts to back up the allegations, authorities says. But I remember that writer. It was a white man. And he said she absolutely did confess that she made the whole thing up. Till's relatives met in March with the officials, including District Attorney Dwayne Richardson, the lead prosecutor in LaFleur County, but left unsatisfied, Watts said. There doesn't seem to be determination or courage to do what needs to be done, she said. Richardson had been in office for about 15 years and was the first Black person to serve as president of the Mississippi Prosecutors Association. He did not return phone messages or emails seeking comment about the potential kidnapping case. So, just put it all in a nutshell, they're not gonna. I wish I could say something better about this whole thing. And yes, Carolyn needs to be burning in the deep part of hell, as far as I'm concerned. But in America, they're just going to keep protecting her. You know, oh, she's just some old woman. So why y'all don't care about if our elderly got to go to jail? You put them in there. You don't care. But we're supposed to take it in consideration when it's her. Please, that woman should be under the jail as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't care if she had dementia. Put her in there anyway. But, in America is not the land of justice. It is not the land of accountability. It's not a righteous place at all. You got a lot of people that try to act righteous, but this place is nothing that doesn't even resemble that. You know, it's a sad thing. And yes, Carolyn got to live a full life. She made it to an age that Emmett Till never saw. And the only thing we got out of Emmett Till's death is an anti-lynching bill that will really literally sit and collect dust. If you think that these cops aren't going to continue to say every hanging Black man is a suicide, you better think again. That bill is going to be completely useless, for real. But that is the only thing that has come out of Emmett Till's death. The only thing. And look, it's an anti-lynching bill for Emmett Till and even his own family. Of the person the bill is named after can't even get justice. Think about that. The bill is named after a teenager, and that teenager still have not gotten justice to this very day. In America, you need to be ashamed of yourself for even doing that. You're going to give us an anti-lynching bill, and the person on the bill didn't even get justice. That says it all right there. If he can't even get justice, how are any lynched men in this country going to get any justice? Come on. So, everybody, I just wanted to go over that because I did see it in the news a few days ago, and it was always my intention to do this story on Emmett Till's family. I hope somewhere along the line something will happen, but just keep in mind, unfortunately, Mississippi is just one of those places that's not big on justice if you go back and look at their history, and it's also the same place at one point in time wanted to ship. Y'all can go look this up. Mississippi wanted to ship its black enslaved population after the war, the Civil War. They wanted to ship them all back to Africa. Go look this up. Mississippi was one of those states that was trying to do that. So, with a legacy like that, I wouldn't be holding my breath on them doing the right thing. So, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I sure hope you got something out of this, even if it's just a little bit. So, I have some videos coming out a little later. It's for tomorrow, and I hope you will all view those videos and give your opinion, and we can all just laugh at many of the things that are going on now because they are laugh worthy for real. But my heart goes out to Emmett Till's family, and I sure hope they get some kind of restitution out of this. I don't know what, but it would be nice for them not to be empty-handed in all this time. I mean, if Mississippi don't want Carolyn to go to jail, at least give them some kind of restitution. So, family, wherever you are, may you be fully protected by our Heavenly Father at all times. Shalom, family.